Well, this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod with David A.R. White.
I'm gonna finish what I started.
It's not easy, but it's simple. I am so excited to have in studio, and if, by the way, guys, if you're listening on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Alexa's podcast platforms, also thank you for being here. But also, please go to our YouTube channel at David A.R. White. Hit like, hit subscribe, because you're going to want to see this guy. This guy was a Versace model. Okay, around the world, he's been seen by every person. He's one of the most beautiful people on the planet. When he was 19 years old, Versace discovered him on the beach and said, You are a Versace model. and here we go. 52 pages later, my friend, my brother, the guy that I look up to, the man that makes all things possible, the man that will get you into any party anywhere in the world at any time. If you don't have a reservation and you can't call Roger Neal to get your reservation, you call this guy, Vincent De Paul.
Oh,
welcome.
Dave, thank you so much. Roger, so nice to see you. And Roger has such a prolific career. You've had such a prolific career, but my career...
But nothing compares to this, Vincent. This is 52 pages.
52 pages, but a lot of them are images, like the cover of Men's Health that I was on the cover of this.
I don't know why I wouldn't put that into my things. Oh, that's right, because I never did the cover of Men's Health.
So a lot of them are actually images, impressions of myself. But
hold on, let's start. Okay. Page 1.
No,
Vincent De Paul was born in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes, I was.
His father was a mortuary scientist. What the heck does that even mean?
It means that he was a mortician and he embalmed bodies and he had funeral homes and people were dying to come in. I don't know. Next
page 2.
I knew this was going to be fun. But yeah, so I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. And so I kind of think that's the genesis of how you and I met from our Maryland connection.
Because I was dying to get into your mortuary? What part of that?
No.
Is, how we met?
One of your writers, Timothy Radishak, said, "There's this,"
and I love Timothy Radishak.
Yeah, one of the writers.
We're having Timothy Radishak on the podcast, by the way.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
Going to be an amazing.
He kind of educated me. He's like, "There's this amazing guy. His name is David R. White."
Oh
no.
Sorry, Rob.
Amazing guy, David R. White, and he lives in California, and he does really great content. His movies are really wonderful, and I'm like, okay, cool, sure, I'll meet him. And I literally, that was because of Timothy Radishak, who went to school with my sisters
met,
at Our Lady of Pompeii, that we met. And so Baltimore is the genesis of us meeting. It feels like 20 years ago, but it's not. But it feels that way.
The Lady of Pompeii.
Yeah, I know.
Was that your high school? Or
yes,
your,
it was both grammar school and high school. Our Lady of Pompeii was K through 12.
Wow.
So you stayed in the same place for,
12 years?
12 years.
What's so crazy about that is that I didn't go to a school. I think I went to Meade High School, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. That's Vincent's go-to right there. Oh. Whereas it did not have the illustrious name of Lady of Pompeii's middle school and high school.
High school, yeah.
Like, you got way cooler. Like, even back then, you were super cool.
Oh, thank you.
Father was a mortician.
I played soccer.
Pompeii.
We were the Lions. The Lions was the name of our
Lady of Pompeii Lions.
Yeah, we were the Lions.
That seems odd.
Like our. I don't know, Leo the Lion. So that was our soccer team. I played soccer there, varsity soccer, and it was just a great upbringing. A lot of students from all over came to Our Lady of Pompeii. Italians, Greeks, Germans, all a melting pot of different cultures.
All right, so Vincent, when did you get the bug? Because didn't you go to medical school?
Yeah, so I went to school at Johns Hopkins. My mom
To
had
be a doctor?
to epidemiology, biomedical ethics, and biostatistics. So I studied there at Johns Hopkins.
Roger, I don't even know what he just said.
So epidemiology, the study of epidemics and pandemics and endemics, biomedical ethics, ethical decision making when you decide on, who gets the heart transplant. Is it, a 90-year-old person, or is it like a young person? They should get the heart because they have a better quality of life. All those things is ethical decision making when it comes to medicine.
What's it called again?
Biomedical ethics.
Okay, so I still don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, so let's move on to when you were a Versace model.
Okay, cool. So pre-Versace. Okay, by the way, pre-Versace in Baltimore, I did the first film I ever acted in was called Hairspray, directed by John Waters. And this past weekend,
this is pre-Versace?
Absolutely, this is 1987.
What year? How old
1987.
Are we? Not dating ourselves, but like
in 1987, I was a teen, and so they created this book at the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, and in it is me as a young...
Come on.
Yes, that's me.
Wow.
With kinky curly hair. I get it relaxed. But that's me when I'm...
Wait, where?
Right there. And it was John Waters. It was... Divine, Ricky Lake, Michael St. Gerard.
Michael St. Gerard is in this too.
Yeah, Pia Zadora.
That's right. He's right here.
Yeah, Michael St. Gerard, Pia Zadora, Rick Ocasek of the
What's
band
this, the play or
Cars.
the movie?
The motion picture Hairspray,
You were
directed by
in the motion picture Hairspray.
1987. And that was the time I didn't know exactly what I was doing, and it was kind of interesting because one day I didn't show up on set, and they called my parents, and they sent me to set in the hearse. It was a 1962 hearse. It was with the fins, like from Batman.
This was your parents?
Yeah, because they they didn't have a driver, so they said, "Okay, sure, we're sending to set." So they put me in the hearse and drove me to set, and I pulled up in a hearse, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's here!" And it was such a fun time. You knew Michael St. Gerard?
Yeah. Michael St. Gerard. Ironically, we had Tommy Blaze on here, and Tommy Blaze was telling us a story about Friends and how he was, he was going to play the Matt LeBlanc thing. It was between him and Matt LeBlanc,
right?
Actually, down to the two of them. And at the same token, I was hanging out with Michael St. Gerard right there. By the way, if you go to YouTube and you'll see these pictures of this is one of the reasons why you got to go to David A.R. White YouTube, subscribe. But look at these pictures, unbelievable. So Michael St. Gerard, Kevin Downs, and I were always in the pool in Michael's St. Gerard's pool house playing Rook. That's what we did all summer, and then he got the Friends pilot. Friends Like Us, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And he got the pilot to play Chandler.
Oh,
and he really thought it was a boring script about 6 friends that sit around in a coffee shop.
Who would have thought?
And hang out. Exactly. And he goes, "This is stupid." And he threw it just like I threw this across the thing when we're there. But that's funny. I don't know. I haven't seen Mike in a while, but I was a good friend of his.
He played Link Larkin in the original motion picture Hairspray in Baltimore in 1987, opposite Ricky Lake.
I didn't realize he did that because obviously then he went to play Elvis.
Yeah, he played Elvis. But the reason why he was cast is because he looked like Elvis, and they were looking for a 60s guy that looked like Elvis. Right after this film was Johnny Depp's film called Cry Baby, which they wanted a similar Elvis type as well. So each time John Waters would cast a certain look for his movies to make it look period. Amy Locane, co-star, and it was cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's so cool. What a small world that we've known the same people for decades and didn't know this.
How is that even possible?
I don't know.
Nothing is impossible. By the way.
Which is a great basketball movie. Nothing is impossible.
Vincent plays the... I love that
Coach Hamilton.
Well, of course, he named himself. I don't even know that you had a name in the script, but I was
like, he's Coach Hamilton.
Yeah, now I'm Coach Hamilton with a lot of lines. Vincent, please. The funniest thing was watching you come up to these NBA players that were towering over me, like 6'8", 6'9", and Vincent's like, "Hey, so talking to him.
They were giants. They were absolute giants on the set.
All right, we got to back you up because you have to go to you.
I have to go back to Baltimore. Yeah,
today.
Right after the
this.
podcast, I go right to LAX to
You're just a
DFW,
world
DFW
traveler, by the way.
to BWI, and then I go to Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, and Cairo to judge Miss Intercontinental.
Of course you do. I don't,
but that's a
Roger,
little bit
I don't
later.
know. I didn't get to sent to Egypt.
Well, he gets to judge all these Miss Americas and Miss USAs.
Well, we have to be very careful with David. We can't just let him go flying around the world. We have to keep him in the U.S. for a little
I
bit.
can't go to
His
Egypt.
stateside.
I feel like it's like Elvis. I'm like being. You're not allowing my tour to go outside of the world. You're making me only perform in the United States. All right, so you're 19 years old. You're on the beach in Miami.
Absolutely.
What happens here? Somebody, does this guy come up?
No, that's John Waters. That's before.
Not to be confused
with Gianni Versace. They're both named John. That's interesting. Gianni Versace and John Waters.
Well, that's why I'm pointing it out.
It is so. Wow.
I did my research.
No, that's so cool.
Roger gave me the other 38 pages of things.
So I was working at Mount Sinai Medical Center, jogging on the beach, and Gianni Versace's laying on the beach, and I
Did you
meet
jog
him.
by him and kick sand in his face
No,
or
I
something?
did not. And I said, ciao. And he's like, oh, ciao, come stai? And I start talking to him and explaining what I was doing at Mount Sinai. Epidemiologia, biomedica etica, and he's correcting my Italian. And then immediately he was so kind. And after that, I started a model at Bell Harbor Shops, which is the upscale shops in South Florida, and model for the Versace collection there, and then went on to do...
I think you skipped over a lot of points here.
Yeah.
You guys start talking, and at what point in time doesn't he say, I want you to come model for me?
Yeah, so basically he says, modello. I'm like, sì, modello.
What does that mean?
Model.
Oh.
Yeah, like...
There's a new model thing on Apple now, supermodels.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be a supermodel?
I know.
Oh, you do? Yeah, of course you do.
Well, the supermodel. Well, no, the term. Just so you know, the term supermodel was coined because
when Vincent De Paul came onto the scene.
No, it was coined.
Page 4.
No, it was coined by Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell.
I know. There's a show. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they coined supermodel because they were not just print models or catalog models or runway models. They were supermodels. They did everything.
Now, at one point in time, were they ever going to call them extra models, like extra? Are you extra models? But then they went with the term super instead.
Yeah.
Supermodels
instead of Uber or
As
extra.
opposed to extra.
Yeah.
Probably super was better.
Supermodels. So they
like
were
Superman, but supermodels.
and they did all the biggest campaigns and all the biggest collections. So.
All right, hold on a second. So so Versace says, I want you to model for me. And you what does he go, does he give you a piece of paper and say go be at this address at whatever? 20,
No, my agency.
2200. That's
my agency at the time.
Thursday?
I was represented by Ford at the time. They're the ones who kind of.
You were
booked
already modeling for Ford at that time.
Yes, I was
Ford.
already,
So Ford
Ford
models
modeling
for those,
agency
of
on
our
Ocean
audience
Drive.
Don't know. I didn't know what Ford models was for a long time.
Really?
No, of course not. Not at all. I was not at all involved in the modeling agency. The whole industry. I know.
Okay.
It's very hard to understand why.
Although you did work with Cindy Crawford, which
I did do
was a
commercials with
supermodel
Cindy Crawford at the time when she was
But okay.
in the hot times. Yeah, in the 90s.
in the 90s. So then at that time, Ford said, you
How old are you?
I'm like 19, 20 up until like 22, 23 is really when I first started.
How? Okay, you're at a hospital school.
Yeah.
Right. A medical school. What do we call that again?
Johns Hopkins School of Hygiene and Public Health.
Oh Lord. Okay. No wonder I can't remember it. So you're there.
Yeah.
Who says, "Hey, Vinny, why don't you go be a model and go to the Ford agency?" Like,
Yeah.
How do you start this whole thing?
Thank you so much for asking.
The podcast is called Dare to Dream, but it has to come from a start.
Right. So I guess in Baltimore, when I was there were opportunities for me to do local shows for like Macy's and Bragger Gutman's department stores. So I already was doing that. So
At what age did you start?
12, 13, 14. I did it really young.
Any of your brothers and sisters? Because you have how many? Eight?
Eight. We're eight. My sister Felicia modeled for a company called Barbizon, which was like
I've
a
heard of them.
school
Yeah.
/ so they brought me over to Barbizon and like, yeah, he'll be great to
She was
do.
your older sister?
My older sister
Did
Felicia.
she go to Tim Radishak? Is that the Tim Radishak sister?
She knew Tim Radishak, and my sister Rosemary Mimi both knew Tim Radishak at Pompeii. They all went to school together. Isn't it funny?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
so working, so she brought me into Barbizon. Barbizon, yeah, he'll be great. So I started to do fashion shows locally in
You're
Maryland.
12 years old. Did you have the entertainment bug at that point? Were you thinking-
Absolutely.
you knew you wanted to be an entertainer.
Immediately, like I wanted to perform in front of, the people at the funeral home that were like really sad. I'm like, can I just perform in front of the casket? They'll cheer them up. But like literally, I really wanted to perform at a very young age. I just always knew that was my calling. That was my vocation to entertain.
Were any of your other siblings doing this? Or where are you out of
I'm
8 kids?
7 of 8.
So you're almost toward the end.
Yes, my brother
Almost the
Domenico
baby.
is the youngest. We're a year apart, and then there
Is he
are
an actor?
6. No.
Is
he's
any
not.
of your other siblings an actor, entertainer?
Felicia,
Right, the
and,
model.
and Mimi does some acting as well. Rosemary, yeah, and that's it.
Okay, so something inside of you triggers,
Absolutely,
and boom, you're off to the races at 12 years old.
right, and at an early age that this is something that you want to do for the rest of your life. Like, oh, I want to be a race car driver. I want to do this. I just knew that I wanted to do things in the performance realm. So
You get signed to Ford. You're how old? 17?
with Ford, I was right around 18, 19 at Ford. And then I also had a stint with Wilhelmina. And then I had...
Huge modeling agency,
Yeah,
by the way.
these are different agencies, and they were representing me in different cities. Wilhelmina was 300 Park Avenue South, which was the New York agency. I had a Miami agency. Then I had a Ford in Arizona, Robert Black agency, Ford in Arizona. So I had different agencies working. And back then, we faxed photos of ourselves. Like you had a black and white headshot and you would fax it through this fax machine. And then they would look at it and like, yeah, like you could really tell what this person looks like.
It's like that's like the early way of a filter. It's the fax filter. Dylan, let's look that up because I honestly think that would be much better for my pictures. Is from now on, if all my pictures are fax filtered.
I know, and they get a fax.
How does he look so good?
I know, and it's like there's like a body shot, like a swimsuit.
Definitely
shot.
fax filter my body shot.
And then there's a headshot of you, and then the agency be like, "Oh yeah, okay, we can list him." And they accept faxes. I mean, it's just so funny, the industry, how it changed. So then I had different agencies across the U.S. And then also one agency said, you should work in Mexico City. And so then I had an agency in Mexico. And so I went and worked with Contempo models with Oscar Madrazo. And then I did the Oscar de la Renta campaign, Liverpool
Slow
campaign.
slow down. So you're jogging at 19. You've done some photo shoots.
Yes.
And you've done some runway stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because you're 6'1".
I am 6'1", yeah. And 170 some pounds at the time. So
Okay, so your model, picture perfect model. Oh, take a look at this guy. Oh
Okay.
my goodness. Look at you. Like the picture of, no wonder Versace's like, hey, oh, hold on, Modelo. And you're like, I am a Modelo.
not the beer.
Not the beer. All right, so wait a second. So did you, going back to Versace,
Yes.
Versace goes, I want you to do my campaigns for me. How did
It
this kick
was
off?
it was more about doing runway shows and then also doing photo editorials. Versace had multiple clothing lines. He had Versace Jeans Couture, Versace V2, Versace Lay. He had multiple lines. There was a different line that kind of catered to different people. The more older line was for more couture, then a younger line was the jeans line. So he would select different models and contact the agencies for different types of campaigns for you to model in.
How many
So
campaigns did you do for Versace?
I did a lot of editorials and more runway shows for him. And then the campaigns were kind of spread out by, they would take an image that you did in editorial and use it as a campaign. So you never knew, what you were shooting because you were like, oh, I'm just shooting a fashion editorial. And then ultimately that image led to a campaign. So,
how long did you work with Versace, or how long was he?
I knew him up until the time he passed away. And
when did he pass? How long ago?
He died in 1997. And
this is the one where he got shot, right, on the street.
Yes, Andrew Cunanan.
I think they did
in South Beach.
Bad TV movie.
That
Actually,
one was the Versace murder by Ryan Murphy was a very kind of sensationalized version of that, and some of it was based on truth, some of it not so much. But then what I did, and I think we talked about, is that I directed the Genius of Gianni Versace Live, which is a documentary about the models who knew him and people that worked with him, and it was a celebration of Versace's life. And so the Genius of Gianni Versace received the Visconti Award in Milan. I received the award, and right now it's playing in Australia, in Perth, Sydney, and Melbourne, Australia, the movie, The Genius of Gianni Versace Live, that I directed.
Wow.
And so I was just compelled to tell his true story about people that really...
Did you reenact the beach thing?
No, I didn't.
That part of it?
I did not. I didn't have the camera crew to do that. I don't.
Should have. That would have been amazing, actually. I totally would have done that.
Thank you. But
starring the #1 Versace model of all time.
No, there were so many. You
Vincent De Paul.
You have really great interviews. Matt King, Erica Tabari, James Hyde, and then you see Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell. You see all these different models through the years that really credit him to giving them their start. So, yeah.
Did that start? So you were doing the Versace modeling for quite a long time. Wow,
Yep.
through your career.
Yeah,
last
I
20
mean,
years?
I did that up until the time that he had passed away. I was doing shows and I was doing editorials, and then after that, I continued modeling and working with different designers and
Dare to Dream, right? When
Yeah.
you have a dream for. You're doing these high-end campaigns, right?
Yeah.
I have to believe that Versace campaign was one of the top,
absolutely.
right?
All of those are those high-end campaigns. It was just like a huge production, like $1 million production where
For a day or two?
Yeah, where they really have it where it's like you're shooting a movie because it's really telling the entire collection for that entire season what their vision is, what they're trying to get across. Like if it's rockability or if it's a homage to Charlie Chaplin where you're wearing like a top hat and wearing like a suit. So each one of those campaigns is telling a specific story. So it's a lot of production value that goes into each editorial and each campaign. Dare to Dream, I understand the kind of questioning you're getting. You always strive to do the best you possibly can. You never know what opportunities are going to be given to you, but you try to keep in shape and you try to be available, not do too many tattoos on your body because, you may have to do, a swimwear campaign or whatever, and some clients does not want to see any kind of tattoos on your body. So you try to do all these things to prepare you so you can become a supermodel or a top model.
You know what? That makes sense now of why I was canceled out of being a super top model myself is because I do have a tattoo.
But your tattoo is fine because it's
no,
good.
I believe that it was my tattoo that probably sidelined my modeling career.
Wow.
Really?
It's a shame, unfortunately. So note to self. And to
Yeah,
those
it's
out there,
it's
maybe
hard.
watch how many tattoos you're going to do if you want to be a model.
Right, because it's hard for the makeup team.
To cover it.
They're like, send us some Polaroids.
That
Back
for
then, it
sure
was
had to be.
Polaroids. Remember those Polaroids? Send us some Polaroids of the model, and then they would see a tattoo and like, he's not going to work for J. Crew. He's not going to work for Brooks Brothers. He's not going to work. So a lot of those things you were already side.
Vincent, now you are a picture of pristine, you're always well dressed, you're always
you.
put together.
Thank you, Nautica.
And yeah, exactly. You wear all kinds of like name brands. I like that watch. You got a ring on. Like you're kind of like Roger Neal in a lot of ways. Because look at Roger's bling bling too.
Roger Neal suits are very good because they're tailored and they're bespoke with good peak lapels, good notch lapels.
Thank you.
You will never hear me talking like that.
But no, they are. They're
I
always
love
good.
like when I'm on a red carpet and they're like, "So what are you wearing?" And I'm like, "I guess I'm wearing some pants. I also put some underwear on today, and I might have a jacket." Yeah, I still got the jacket. Like, what brand are you wearing? It's just the funniest question to me of all time. I just never understood it. It's
commerce because basically because you're wearing that brand, all of a sudden maybe that obscure designer got to dress David Ayer White and no longer obscure because you wore,
you say who it is?
Joel Garcia, let's say, and whoever that is, what I'm saying is that you all of a sudden help that brand succeed.
I guess I just have never been able to wrap my brain around the whole fashion industry. I know it's terrible because
it's $1 billion industry.
No, I know it's $1 billion industry. It's a big industry, and I just never, because I'm an actor, right? I came into acting. I never ever had a modeling agency. I never did. The only print that I ever did was when I would do a commercial, and then they would take it and they would make a print ad out of it. But I had nothing to do with that. Right. It wasn't like I stood in front of a camera and was like, "Hey,"
Right, but just in your favor, because you did work with Cindy Crawford, and they did take stills of that for that soda campaign.
Yeah, Pepsi, gotta have it.
Pepsi, gotta have it. You were already kind of positioned because what you're doing in front of the lens as a model is what you're doing in front of the lens as an actor. And so
that's deep.
No, why?
I thought it was pretty deep. It's instruction here.
No.
We're also going to be doing, by the way, you're going to want to definitely tune into this podcast on YouTube because Vincent's going to be doing a walk and show you how to do the walk. It's kind of how to and how to model. If you want to be a Versace model or a top model, you should definitely go to at David Ayer White and like and subscribe, please. And also give us your comments about what do you think of Vincent's walk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, quick question for you. You got sunglasses around here. Just speaking of how great you look all the time.
Thank you.
Like, is this a Tom Cruise thing? Or did we do?
No,
are we doing Top Gun 3?
I was at.
I mean, look at these glasses.
I was at the Venice Film Festival and LVMH, which represents LVMH, which is a Fred. They represent Balenciaga. They brought me to the gifting suite.
You guys got to take a look at these glasses.
At the Excelsior Hotel on the island of Lido. And they said, which glass would you like? And I really like this Fred one. They had this really cool Christian Dior frame, but this one really was great. And it's blue. It's a plano lens and it has gold detailing. And it kind of throws me back to Holy Man Undercover. A great movie, Holy Man Undercover, written by Timothy Radishak, starring David Ayer White. He plays two characters.
By the way, I love the fact that you actually have watched Holy Man and you really appreciate it.
Literally, character that is kind of like with those glasses.
Uncle Brian.
Uncle Brian. It's my go-to if I'm ever down or sad. I watch Holy Man Undercover and it's on repeat. Like, it's just so funny. Can you do his voice? Uncle.
No. I haven't done Uncle Brian since I don't even.
Uncle Brian. He has such a different cadence.
15 years.
Uncle Brian's cadence.
You probably do better Uncle Brian than I can.
Well, no, dude. It goes up. It's funny. Uncle Brian is great.
It is pretty funny.
So very different than,
You would have been great in that movie.
Okay, you would no.
Okay, so how many movies have we done, Vinny, together?
Is it 4 or 5?
Dylan's holding up the number 4.
No way.
4.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Nothing's Impossible. Love on the Rock, you were great in, by the way. In Malta 2020. How fun was that? That we went and took over the island of Malta.
Beckman,
that's right. I shoot you.
Shoot my hand.
I shoot your hand.
Yeah.
This hand.
And what was the other one?
And then
God's
Not to the People. And then there's that little scene, but it was during the big pandemic. It was Finding Love in Quarantine, where I'm on the phone in Miami, in South Beach, because we had to do things satellite. So is that 4 movies in a series? That's 5. because it would turn into a movie.
Finding
directed
Love, you're
by
talking about
Matt Shapiro.
Finding Love in
Matt
Quarantine.
Shapiro directed Finding Love in Quarantine and Love on the Rock.
Okay, with all of this, because then you go into acting, right? You start
Yes.
out in Hairspray. Did you act the whole time you were modeling as well?
Yeah, so
Was it hard to cross over?
it was not hard to cross over because, like I was saying, I was performing in front of a lens, in front of a camera, modeling. So you just basically do the same in acting, but you have to fulfill it in such a way where you're living in the moment. So I was really happy to do that. And so after that, after Hairspray, I started a movie called Barry's Gift, directed by Francis Xavier, also shot in Baltimore. And then I did a series of other films after Hairspray.
It's amazing. How many
And-
movies have you been in? Like, I mean, you've done so many movies.
About 100
Oh,
films.
my
A lot of
gosh.
them right to VHS, if anyone remembers VHS and Beta.
Oh my gosh! 2
DVD.
minutes. They're telling
Yeah,
us 2 minutes. Vince.
So to round it up,
I hope you have somebody at the airport who's going to help you that says, Vincent, 2 minutes before you have to board.
yeah, I know.
1 minute, Vincent. Just the guy that follows
American
you around.
Airlines, Admirals Club.
Wait, what were you saying? Yeah, I totally cut you off, though. All right, so what's next? Tell me what's next. You're going back to Baltimore.
Yes.
You're on a tour right now of the Gianni Versace.
Yeah, I have a holiday film called Christmas Couples Retreat, and
You directed that movie, too. You're
and
extraordinary, Vincent.
and just continuing everything and trying to live a happy life and dare to dream because you can accomplish all you set out to do.
I love hanging out with you. You know why? It's
Likewise.
because you're a beacon of light. Like, literally, Vincent makes anybody, anywhere feel good. And you come in and you breathe that joy to everybody, to doormen who won't let us in to a premiere or Roger Neal's red carpet or anything, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I love Vincent De Paul, so sure, come on in.
So
but
kind.
I've done that all over the you celebrated my birthday at the Versace Mansion one year when we didn't have reservations, and we come in with like 6 people,
Yeah.
and you're like, by the way, you talked to who did you talk to there? Vincent's like, just a second. And
we sat right by the pool.
we
and
had a two-seat chair with 2 seats for 6 of us.
and they
Michael
expanded
Scott,
the table.
Kevin Downs, Vance, you, me. I forget who else was there. Matt Shapiro probably. But the funny thing was Roger's like, wrap it up. The funny thing was that you took a 2-seater table with 2 chairs, and we sat 8 people right by the pool,
They were so
that's the prime
accommodating.
real estate at the Versace Mansion is
was-
you sit right by the pool.
Yeah.
And they kept bringing chairs and sliding tables over, and by the end, everybody was singing happy birthday to me.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, it was
your best 40th birthday ever. This has been wonderful, and I'm wishing everyone the very best. Vincent De Paul 12 on Instagram, and I'm
yeah.
going to post about this.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to post. We have
Hey.
to do a screenshot.
We totally will. And by the way, have a safe flight. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Hey, really quick, check us out on all the places that you can get the podcast platforms, from Apple to Google Podcasts to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Alexa. And don't forget to tune in to see yours truly right here. This episode alone is a reason why you should subscribe to at David A.R. White on YouTube and hit like, and please comment about how you dig these glasses.
By Fred.
And don't forget to pick up this book, which I don't think was written by you, Vincent, right?
No, John Waters, the Pope of Trash.
Thanks, buddy. Until next time, God bless you guys.
God bless. Oh.